How's it going, everybody? Vin here once again. We're going to be talking about AEW Dynamite for April 19th, 2023. And I thought it was a pretty interesting show. It felt like it had a lot of highs and lows. And I'm going to get into that as we talk about it. But I thought it was a pretty interesting show, building for the pay-per-view for Double or Nothing. I think it will be very interesting to see how this gets reaction online. I thought there was some good wrestling. There was some okay wrestling. There was some mediocre stuff that I didn't really like in general. But let's dive right into it. So the show opens up with Jack Perry, Sammy Guevara, and Darby Allin all in the ring. They interrupt one another, bickering about who's going to be the next AEW World Champion. MJF comes out to interrupt them. He says that there will be a miniature tournament today between all three men, with the winner facing him at Double or Nothing. Darby Allin gets a bye in the first round as he picked randomly from a hat who will get the bye. And tonight will be headlined by Jack Perry versus Sammy Guevara, and the winner will face Darby Allin in next week to take on MJF at Double or Nothing. I don't know how this came off to some of you guys, but to me, I did not like their promo. I thought a lot of them came off whiny and stuff. I think Sammy Guevara might have came off the best, but I just didn't like Jack Perry cutting a promo. And I know he's been working on it, so that's there, but he just felt flat to me or something. Darby Allin, he started off good, but he just waned off as it kept going. And Sammy Guevara, I don't know if it's just because he has the credibility of fighting for this title, but it just did not feel great to me. MJF obviously came out. He feels like a big deal, and that really helped out making this feel like an important event. Then we get to our first match. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Jamie Hayter are taking on the Outcast, which was Tony Storm and Ruby Soho, with Saraya at ringside. This match was okay. This was a big pop for Britt Baker, being in her hometown of Pittsburgh. This match was good. Baker hits a Panama Sunrise and a curb stomp on Ruby Soho, and then Ruby immediately rolls onto her stomach to avoid getting pinned. Baker puts in the lockjaw for the win. Again, I'm not a big fan of the Outcast, of how they are presented right now, just being like this high school clique type of thing. But the match was decent. We're still seeing stuff with Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter being together. I don't know if that's going to last, just because of how things seem to be going in the women's division. I don't know if Britt Baker is going to eventually just say, you know what, I want that title. So that would be an interesting look. Honestly, if you're going to get my opinion, I think Britt Baker should be challenging someone like a Jade Cargill for the TBS championship. I think that will make Jade Cargill have another credible person to go up against, and really put the title and her undefeated streak on the line. I think that would be an interesting story, as Britt Baker says, you know what, Jamie, I'm not going to go after you. We're going to both rule this women's division together. I think that would be a more intriguing story than this Outcast going after Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter, as they are AEW originals. For the Outcast, I mean, they can just continue tormenting whoever, but they just, again, don't feel like anything to me more than just a little high school clique. Then we get Renee Paquette backstage interviewing Wardlow ahead of his TNT championship match going up against Powerhouse Will Hobbs. Wardlow says that he once was mentored by a Four Horsemen member, and today he's going to be mentored by another one, as Arn Anderson is going to be his new manager. And Arn says, hey, Tully might have taught you how to be a master at playing checkers, but today we're going to be playing chess. I mean, just adding another veteran that hasn't been doing much on AEW television in Arn Anderson adds a lot of credibility. to a Wardlow who just feels like he's been fizzling at some points. So maybe this could be something that helps him in the long run. Then we get the Elite going out to the ring. They call it the Blackpool Combat Club. They're saying, hey, we're sick and tired of this shit. Let's get this going. Bryan Danielson appears on the Tron, starts distracting them as the other members of the Blackpool Combat Club jump the Elite from behind. They brawl out a little bit. BCC gets the advantage at one point. Bryan then comes out as the group has the advantage, just talking to Kenny Omega, who the Combat Club are just holding down and making him look. Don Callis comes out to try to make the save with a chair, but then immediately just runs back to the back and gets Kensuke Takeshita, who eventually helps Kenny Omega and the rest of the Elite take care of the Blackpool Combat Club. So, no Hangman Page, and it was good to see Don Callis return after that scary cut that he suffered, that they said you could see his skull. That's how deep it was. It was just interesting to see no Hangman Page on this. And if that story is going to continue of, hey, he wants to be a part of the Elite again and just have that group back together. But instead they're going to, Don Callis is just trying to push Takeshita on them. I think Takeshita is a good fit with the Elite to fight against the Blackpool Combat Club, but I just don't know how this story's going to go, and I'm here for the ride. I really like this this battle that's going to be going on between these two groups, and if it's going to be a double or nothing, which it feels like they should, as we have a month till the show, but I just don't know how they can just continue to make this elongate if they're going to go past that. So then we get a TNT Championship match. The champion, Powerhouse Hobbs, will be taking on Wardlow. Wardlow immediately takes the fight to Will Hobbs. They fight on the outside, and the brawling continues. Hobbs gains the upper hand, but Wardlow eventually begins to fight back. Hobbs gets the ability to overpower his challenger. Wardlow comes back though with some suplexes and clotheslines to get the advantage. QT Marshall interferes, with the referee having his back turned, and Hobbs then hits the spinebuster. Arn Anderson then stops the interference of QT Marshall by pointing his finger guns at him and essentially saying, hey, I'm going to shoot you with my Glock. Thought that was pretty funny just to throw that back. Marshall then exits the ring and runs into the Lucha Dragons, who are waiting for him on the outside on the rim. Marshall then runs back into the ring, trying to avoid getting attacked by the Lucha Dragons, but Arn Anderson hits him. Wardlow hits the Powerbomb Symphony to regain his championship and wins the TNT title back. So the reign of Hobbs is over. Wardlow, it will be interesting to see how he does going forward, because we've seen this with Wardlow be the champion, not really have a great reign, and then try to build it. I understand the TNT Championship is trying to be more of a television title where we're having it on TV a lot, but I just don't know how to make this title interesting unless you're having a dominant reign. And since maybe a Miro, we haven't really had that. It's just been a lot of flipping back and forth and not really having that long range feel. It doesn't have to be a whole year, because I understand you already have that with some of your bigger titles, as MJF's the AEW champion. He's gonna probably hold this for the rest of the year. You have Jade Cargill, who's been holding on to the TBS title for a while. And you could have titles flip-flop every once in a while. But I just don't know how to make Wardlow, unless you're going to continue him like this and just make him dominate people during his title reign. I just don't know how you're going to have it unless you're going to create stories with this. After the match, though, Christian Cage and Luchasaurus come out and just stare at Wardlow. So it feels like we're teasing the next way of who's going to be challenging Wardlow, but is it going to be Christian Cage or is it going to be Luchasaurus fighting for the title? I think that's an interesting story, as both men really could. We haven't seen Christian Cage in the ring since he lost the coffin match against Jungle Boy. And Luchasaurus, just the size that these two will have, I think that would be an interesting matchup as well. See Luchasaurus in more of a singles role, as we haven't really seen too much of him do that since AEW started. Then we see backstage, MJF interrupts an interview with Renee Paquette and Sammy Guevara. MJF asked Sammy Guevara to name his price so he can just lie down in the main event, and he will get guaranteed a spot in the main event of Double or Nothing if he does so. And he comes with a blank check. He tells Sammy Guevara to name his price. Maxwell seems flustered by the number, but they shake on it. So that creates a little bit of a wrinkle for the main event. Is Sammy Guevara just going to lay down? Or how is this going to go? I didn't really understand it. Maybe I misheard it, and it wasn't just to lay down. But why would he just get pinned and not wanted? I thought he was supposed to feel like a heel as well as Sammy Guevara. Then we get the AEW debut of Jay White, who's coming out with Juice Robinson to take on Commander, who became All Elite after the show as he got the official graphic. I thought that was pretty cool. Commander does a lot of insane acrobatic moves, loves to run the ring ropes on the top, and for a majority of the match, we see Sean Spears sitting in the crowd, holding up numbers every time somebody does some cool maneuver. When Commander did one of his moves, he got a 10. When Jay White did one of his, he got a 5. So I thought that was pretty funny just to keep panning over to Sean Spears just to see him reacting that way. Commander eventually gets he runs a rope walk, shooting star press, and hits a Phoenix Splash, but White gets control. He hits a cutthroat suplex on the Blade Runner for the win. So Jay White wins his first match on AEW television. After the match, Juice Robinson takes Sean Spears out of the crowd, and they brawl. White and Robinson brawl with Spears. Ricky Starks comes out to make a save, so essentially we are seeing a potential tag team match between Ricky Starks and Sean Spears, who I wouldn't mind if they build up a little bit, because it just felt like the last time I remember seeing Sean Spears really try to do anything, he was just a jobber guy. And really, he hasn't done too much since he got brought into the company and was the chairman of AEW with his story against Cody at the very beginning. Since then, I haven't really seen him as a credible threat, so having him in this role could be an interesting way. Then we have an interview with FTR backstage. They learned that the varsity athlete attacked Mark Briscoe, and he's backstage in the trainer's room. FTR runs over there as Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal are already there with him to go check on him. Mark Briscoe isn't cleared to fight, but he says that he wants all of them to get revenge for him over the varsity athletes. And Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal and FTR do not like each other, so they had to begrudgingly team up and just try to beat the varsity athletes. Then we get Chris Jericho. I don't know why I said MJF. We have Chris Jericho confronting Adam Cole. Adam Cole says he respects Chris Jericho, but Jericho does not feel the same. That Adam Cole says, "Hey, I idolized you. Baby came from you," essentially. And then they brawl as Cole doesn't get the same respect from Jericho. The JAS come out to further attack on Adam Cole, and Britt Baker comes out to try to save her man. But Jericho had that planned out as the Outcast come from underneath the ring and attack her. Jericho gets a kendo stick and then hands it to Saraya, and they just beat on Britt Baker as Adam Cole's handcuffed to the bottom rope of the ring and just forced to watch. And he gets all emotional about it. And I thought that was a pretty interesting way to do it. Hey, they could have beat down Adam Cole, but instead they're going to force him to watch his girlfriend just get brutally assaulted by a kendo stick. I thought that was an interesting way to continue the feud without really them getting too physical with one another. It's kind of like how Randy Orton handcuffed Triple H to the rope at going into WrestleMania 25 and attacked Stephanie McMahon. I thought that was kind of what my head went to when I was watching this. I think it's a interesting note to play in developing this story between Adam Cole and Chris Jericho. And instead of having Cole and Jericho essentially just have a whatever match, we're building up to something that's going to be more important down the line. Then we had a 6-man tag match. The Acclaimed with Daddy-Ass Billy Gunn taking on the Jericho Appreciation Society, which was Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, and Jake Hager. This match was whatever. Jericho Appreciation Society attacked the Acclaimed during their entrance. This match was okay. Parker had a loaded comb he tried to use, but he accidentally takes out Jake Hager with it. Billy Gunn then notices that he has the loaded comb and breaks it. The Acclaim get a win with the mic dropped, so the Acclaim pick up the win. Again, it was just a nothing match. I didn't really love it, but it did not offend me. Then we had the main event. Sammy Guevara versus Jack Perry. The winner taking on Darby Allin in a number 1 contenders match next week. So this match was a lot of fun. It was a lot of high moves. The story of the match was Sammy Guevara attacking the head of Jungle Jack Perry. Just a lot of pile drivers. A Canadian Destroyer. We had a Spike Rana on Jack Perry with a back suplex DDT. Perry counters their GTH with a reverse Hurricane Rana of his own. Perry gets in the snare trap, but Guevara reaches the ropes. Guevara then pushes Perry to the outside on the top rope as Perry hits a table with his head and is out, and the referee's counting for the count out. He gets to 8, and then Guevara just holds the referee so he can't see. MJF comes, hits him with the diamond ring, and then just ducks beneath the barrier. The referee continues counting. He gets to 9, he gets to 10. So Sammy Guevara advances to the finals to take on Darby Allin for the right to challenge MJF at Double or Nothing. After the match, we see Sammy Guevara and MJF just celebrating, just like a couple of best friends just rolling around, celebrating like they won the championship. And that's how the show goes off the air. I thought that was an interesting way to get Jack Perry out of contention. If we're not going to get the Fatal 4-Way that we were expecting originally, I think this was a fun way to really make it different. Hey, MJF's going to back one guy, and he's just going to try to cheat his way to get to fight him. Because in MJF's mind, hey, Sammy Guevara, he's going to be the easiest to beat, for whatever reason. Now, hitching his wagon to that is going to make it interesting to see how Darby Allin tries to counter that. Is Jack Perry going to play a factor in next week, making sure that Sammy Guevara does not have the ability to have stuff like that happen? It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to next week. I think this show did enough to make me want to go watch the next week and anticipate what's going to happen in this story. But that was AEW Dynamite. I thought it was a pretty good show overall. Looking back at it again, it had good in-ring work. I just didn't love that opening promo. And that just really didn't do much for me. But otherwise, I thought it was a pretty good show overall. A lot of hometown heroes, as we had Britt Baker pick up a win in her hometown, Wardlow pick up a win in his hometown. Thought that was pretty cool. But a new champion. We had some interesting storyline progression, and now we have the results of who's going to go on in the number one contenders match to face MJF at Double or Nothing. But tell me what you guys thought in the comments below about AEW Dynamite. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you have not already, and I will see you guys in the next one.